Welcome to Retirement Lifestyles, where it's all about the health, wealth, and freedoms you need to live your dream retirement. I'm your host, Patrick McNally, and today it's all about food. I'll be talking with dietitian Laura Like from Mercy Hospital about mindful eating. We'll then switch gears and hear from Debbie McClung about what great programs are available at the Shasta Senior Nutrition Program. All that, plus I'll give you 7 tips for a successful retirement. Retirement Lifestyles starts right now. Hi, and welcome back. We are going to be talking about our health segment of the show on Retirement Lifestyles, where it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedoms you need to live your dream retirement. And obviously, health is a big one, and diet is a big one. So I'm very excited to bring on registered dietitian Laura Like with Mercy Medical. Laura, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, we love having you on the show. Talk to us about, if you could give us a little background first before I launch in with all kinds of questions for you about diet, because diet's a huge buzzword for a lot of people. And obviously when we're talking about health, we want to be conscious about our diet. So that's what you're going to talk to us about today, right, is mindful eating habits and mindful dieting. But you're a registered dietitian over at Mercy. How did you get into that field?
I actually was a client of a dietitian when I was a little girl. I went to see a dietitian to help me keep my weight under control, and it just became a personal interest for me. So I decided to pursue that with my career, and I've been a registered dietitian in Reading for 7 years. I work in the hospital setting, so a lot of my clients come in needing to improve their diet for different reasons, sometimes diabetes, sometimes heart healthy, sometimes patients just come to me and ask, what is a healthy diet and how can I eat a little more healthfully?
Right.
I brought this information today on mindful eating just because it's a way of adjusting a person's habits to make sure that you are making healthier choices consciously.
Well, there's so many, we're bombarded with new diet fads and new trends, and everybody has an opinion on what should and shouldn't be eaten, right? Everybody can tell you, oh, this worked for me and this didn't work for me, and so there's always something always coming out. But you come at it from more of a clinical angle. Talk to us a little bit about, do you have like a foundation of eating that you kind of follow and teach people about their healthy eating habits? Is that kind of how you approach this?
Yes, actually mindful eating is a trend right now. There's a lot of books out there on it. Foundation for healthy eating, I think it's better to focus on good habits than good or bad foods. Even something like fast food isn't necessarily that bad if it's only eaten really, really rarely, once a year or whatever, is very different than eating it every day or every week.
So you're going to give me permission to have a double-double every once in a while?
Every once in a while.
Okay.
We'd like to say
Just
it's
checking.
everything in moderation.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's what mindfulness is all about. It's the definition of mindfulness is a human behavior in which a person practices awareness of what's going on within and around them when they sit down to eat. Pay attention to your different triggers. Things going on within you could be hunger cues, whether or not you're actually hungry, versus eating for reasons like emotions or eating out of habit or eating in social situations where everyone else is having a piece of cheesecake, so I guess I will too.
Right. It's almost like pressure to do that.
Sure,
You know?
So when you practice mindful behavior, you ask yourself, why am I eating this? Am I really hungry? What's going on around me that might be causing me to eat versus can I just go ahead and say no to whatever it is that's in front of me right now?
Self-control, right?
Sure.
But you said something, too, that was kind of interesting. It sounds like the mind can actually trick us
Yes.
to eat even when we're not hungry.
And that's another part of mindful eating is what's going on within you and also around you. So is there snack food right in front of you that's making you eat? Did you put too much food on your plate and then you feel like you must finish everything on your plate? You can use all 5 senses when you're eating, and if you slow down and really experience your food with all 5 of your senses, obviously you're going to taste and smell your food.
Yeah.
If you take a little bit more time to really enhance those experiences, look at your food, smell it, taste it. There's a feel that's associated with eating. If a person really slows down, there's a lot of studies that show that it increases satisfaction with your food, and it actually can help you to control your portions better.
Oh, so you actually enjoy your food when you're mindfully paying attention to what you're doing, instead of just, when we talk about mindful, I often think sometimes like, okay, so not sitting on the couch at midnight watching my favorite show and just having a box of, whatever next to me and putting it in.
Like the opposite of mindless eating.
Yeah, well, that is mindless eating, right? And,
sure.
And so how do you coach somebody who maybe has that, because it's a habit, right? It's almost like smoking or something that you need to, am I going down that right? Do I understand that right?
Sure.
It's almost like a bad habit that you got to phase out of? Sure.
So thinking more about what you're eating, thinking more about when and how you're eating. Some tricks to kind of mindlessly eat more mindfully. Were suggested. There's actually a wonderful book called Mindless Eating, and he suggested lots of tricks. Some of them were, anytime you eat something, don't eat it out of your hand, eat it off of a plate, and make sure that you're sitting down and eating. And that decreases the propensity to just graze on and just eat without really being conscious of how much you're eating or what you're eating. Make sure that...
Okay, so instead of just kind of grabbing the handful of trail mix and throwing that down, actually have it on a plate so that when I look down at my plate, that kind of cues me to say, you know what, Patrick, you're done.
Sure,
you don't need to refill your plate. But not that I have personal experience with this, Laura, but I can grab a handful of trail mix and just go all day long.
Sure.
But that makes perfect sense that because you lose track, am I on my fifth handful or,
Sure, and how many calories is that all throughout the day if you're grazing and snacking? So I had a patient with a great experience in weight loss, and the only change that she made in her diet was using a smaller plate when she ate her meals. Also keeping unhealthy snack food out of sight and keeping healthier items within sight, like keep the carrot and celery sticks in the front of your refrigerator, so when you open it up, that's the first thing you see. It's a trick to be able to mindlessly eat a little more mindfully.
Okay, so it sounds like everything kind of works together here. I think with most things, you've got diet. I know you did say it's not necessarily all about cutting out bad foods, but maybe just watching the portions of that and being mindful of how much you're consuming and at what times. When people come to you, are there educational programs that Mercy offers, or can they reach out to you through Mercy Medical and go through a class?
Yes.
Okay.
Mercy offers a class called Living Well with Better Nutrition, and it's offered at the Dignity locations, both Mercy Redding and St. Elizabeth's in Red Bluff, and they're offered about every 2 months at both locations. You can contact the hospital.
And what do you guys teach in that class?
It's a lot of focus on diabetic diet, but the dietitian that leads it is named Kendra, and she touches in on just about any aspect of nutrition. It's just kind of an open house question and answer session. If you want to
come, so you don't have to, sorry to cut you out there a little bit, you don't have to be battling diabetes to come to this class.
No,
you'll learn tips and strategies on maybe even how to not become diabetic.
Right, yes.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, overeating and obesity is probably one of the largest causes of diabetes. So diabetes is very preventable, and monitoring diet and habits can definitely help to not only control diabetes, but also to prevent.
Excellent. And I think with a lot of, obviously the show is retirement lifestyle, so with a lot of retirees, I'm sure that you help coach and correct some of those health issues, because I'm sure that some of these health issues can be corrected with proper diet and nutrition.
Absolutely. Right? And I also wanted to mention that with the hot weather that we're going through, it's important to stay very well hydrated, and that becomes increasingly important with age. For mindful eating strategies with hydration, I would suggest avoiding sugary beverages and avoiding those really high fat, high sugar coffee drinks, and just drink a lot of water.
Laura, thank you so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you and teaching us all about great dieting tips and nutrition, being mindful about what you eat. I mean, that's good for everybody, but especially going into retirement, you can avoid, like Laura said, a lot of these health risks and health issues by being mindful about what you eat.
To have a successful retirement, you need to address some very key issues. So today on the show, I'm going to talk about 7 of them and how they can serve you on your quest to realize your dream retirement. The 7 keys are: number 1, define and create your retirement. 2, assess the costs. 3, evaluate your sources of income. 4, invest for the future. 5, protect your health and wealth. 6, receive funds from your retirement plans, and number 7, manage your estate distribution. Let's talk about each one in more detail. We all know people who are retired and have seen how retirement affects people differently. Some are very active and some slow way down and just relax. Some have big pensions while others may be struggling to make ends meet. Retirement isn't the same as it used to be, and it doesn't affect people the same way. The old definition of retirement would state that retirees don't work. They could have a career, retire, and then enjoy their golden years engaged in nothing but leisure activities. For many people, however, the retirement of today and tomorrow still includes some involvement in the workplace. Before you dive into a second career, though, take the time to find out what's really involved, such as the costs associated with starting a business and how any extra income could affect your taxes. While trying to define and create your retirement, you need to ask yourself a few questions like, how will you spend your time? Will you go back to school and work on your education? How about joining some local clubs and organizations? Now that you have the time, will you catch up on some exercise? Maybe play some golf? The activities are endless. Today's Americans are expecting to have an active retirement. In an AARP Retirement Outlook survey of baby boomers, 49% indicated that they plan to travel more often, 71% plan to spend more time with family, and 66% anticipate more involvement with hobbies and other interests. The next question you should ask is, where do you want to live? Many people want to retire somewhere warmer, where they can spend their days playing golf or gardening instead of shoveling snow. Others don't want to give up the network of neighbors and friends that they spent a lifetime building. Either way, you face some important decisions about housing. It should come as no surprise that the cost of living can vary enormously from place to place. Our second how-to today is assessing the costs. So you need to ask yourself this critical question: how much will my dream retirement cost? Some financial experts estimate that you will need approximately 80% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your lifestyle in retirement. Only use that number of 80% as a rule of thumb, because in my opinion, I think that most people might need more than that. Think about it. When you were working, you only had a 2-day weekend, right? So most of your spending happened on only 2 days a week. But when you're retired, you basically have a 7-day weekend. So this is why I think it might be very possible that you'll spend more in retirement. Regardless of how busy you intend to be in retirement, your lifestyle is going to change, and you need to account for those changes, making adjustments to your current income to reflect the changes you expect to experience after you retire. Number 3, evaluate your sources of income. Once you have a fairly good estimate of how much money you will need to accumulate to retire, you can start evaluating your sources of income. 3 traditional sources of retirement income are Social Security, an employer-sponsored retirement plan, and personal savings investments. A 4th source of earnings that is more and more common today are earnings from continued employment. Many people hold on to the belief that Social Security will fund the majority of their needs during retirement. But unless you're in a low income tax bracket, it simply isn't the case. When you know where all of your sources of income will be coming from, including the amounts, then you can really start to put a plan together to pay for your needs and wants in retirement. Number 4, how to invest for the future. Most people are receptive to the idea of increasing their savings and investments if it means that they'll be able to maintain a lifestyle during retirement. But understanding different types of investments and adopting a strategic approach, you may be able to build a cohesive portfolio that supports your financial situation. It's important to find your starting point, to know where you are right now so you can determine whether you're on track and how far you need to go to meet your goals. Unfortunately, many people don't have a good handle on their current situations. Do you know where your money is today and how it's allocated? What investments do you want? Before you can make changes and additions to your investment portfolio, you need to know that information. Number 5, protecting your health and your wealth. When you take a good look at planning for retirement, it becomes clear that investing is only part of the equation. You also need to take steps to protect yourself against loss. By properly protecting yourself against the high cost of healthcare and other types of risk, you're also protecting your wealth in many cases. For example, Health-related expenses can be one of the biggest obstacles to accumulating and maintaining wealth. One of my favorite sayings is, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. When you have an adequate level of insurance protection, you can feel more at ease because you're prepared for the worst. There's 3 reasons for owning insurance: protect against loss, boost your sense of security, and to provide for a source of funds in a time of need. Reviewing your insurance annually can help you uncover gaps in your coverage, but also show you if you're overpaying for coverage you no longer need. Number 6, what's the best way to receive funds from your retirement plan? Each retirement plan has its own set of rules, penalties, and tax implications. The decisions you make as you retire can make a big difference in how you spend your retirement. That's why it's so crucial to understanding your options. Your retirement income needs will determine the best distribution method along with the different tax alternatives associated with each method. Most of the time, your decision is irreversible. Using a professional advisor to help you sort through the paperwork can be a very wise decision. One wrong move, you could owe the government up to 50% of your retirement account. That would be a bad day. The final tip is managing the distribution of your estate. Without careful planning and having the proper legal documents in place, the estate you've spent a lifetime building could be significantly reduced by the time your heirs receive it. You want to make sure your estate is organized in such a way that it passes to your heirs as easily and tax efficiently as possible. Taking the necessary steps to conserve your estate offers a number of important benefits. First, you can help avoid some of the conflicts between your family members. If all your assets are accounted for and your wishes are spelled out in detail, the chance that anyone will contest your estate plans will be significantly reduced. Second, you can avoid the delays of probate and other procedures by addressing these issues while you're alive rather than forcing your heirs to endure some drawn-out procedure in court all after you're gone. Finally, you can avoid some legal and court expenses by having a well-organized estate and properly drafted legal document. Using competent estate planning attorneys is a very wise idea. Using these 7 key strategies is going to help you plan and give you peace of mind heading into retirement. If you're already there, use these strategies to tighten up and strengthen the plans you already have in place. Hello, and this is our lifestyle segment, and I'm really excited to bring my guest on the show here, Debbie McClung, who is the Executive Director with the Shasta Senior Nutrition Program. Debbie, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you. There's a lot of things going on, I know, over at the program. But quite honestly, when you hear Shasta Senior Nutrition, you kind of think about just food, that you guys just serve food and things like that. But you've got a number of programs, and you've also got a number of locations. What are the different locations around the North State here?
Actually, we're located not only here in Redding, out on the Mercy Oaks campus, but we have a satellite center in Anderson, as well as Shasta Lake. And then our Bernie location in the Intermountain area is a smaller version of many of the programs that we operate here locally as well.
And let's dig in and really talk about the many things that are going on over at Shasta Nutrition, not just the food programs.
Right, yeah, we like to consider ourselves more than just a meal. What you get when you come into our facility there, most people know that we are, they're available for the noon meal, which is a meal that's 1/3 of the daily recommended dietary allowances. It's approved by a registered dietitian, so you know you're getting a well-prepared meal, and a lot of people come and have that as their main meal of the day. Mm-hmm. It is for clients who are 60 years of age or older. And there is no income requirement for that meal. All you need to be is 60 years of age.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it is a suggested donation of $3 per meal. However, if you don't have that money that day or any day, you are welcome to come have a meal with us.
Now, Debbie, you said that that meal is actually put together by a registered dietitian. Are there any programs that go along with when people come in to eat that meal? Do you talk about proper eating habits and proper ways to diet and things you should eat?
Absolutely. We have a registered dietitian that attends our nutrition programs in all locations, at least quarterly, and covers a topic of interest to them, especially for those who may be preparing foods for only 1 or 2 people at that time, to help them get through and eat nutritious foods, not only when they're with us, but on the weekends and in the evenings as well.
They've been kind of curious. How did you get involved? You're the executive director over there, but how did you get involved?
Over 30 years ago, I decided that I needed something to do while my kids were in school, so I went out to one of the satellite centers and was just going to do some fill-in work for somebody who was taking some time off. And 35 years later, I'm the executive director. It kind of gets under your skin, helping those people every day and seeing them come back and knowing that you've made a difference in their lives.
So can people like yourself, you just decided you wanted to volunteer. Can people still today just volunteer or call up the program and help out?
Sure. We have over 250 volunteers throughout the community. As I said, many of our programs are not just operated there at our dining center, but we have the Meals on Wheels program, which we use delivery drivers who take the meals into the clients' homes. It's not only a nutritious meal, but it's a daily check on that client to help keep them out of institutionalized care prematurely. We also offer a senior transportation program that takes clients to doctor's appointments, to dining centers, to the movies, to buy groceries, pretty much anywhere they need to go. All they need to do is call and get a 24-hour reservation. Another item that people may or may not know about is our countywide food bank, and we operate programs in 19 locations throughout Shasta County where we're helping out with food for those who may be in need of it.
So when people they can just drop that off at their convenience. Is it on the website where those locations are located?
Yes, the website, ssnpweb.org, is where they could go. You can find out a little bit more about volunteering, seeing what one of those areas might be your interest, and knowing that just because you live in Bernie or Happy Valley, you still may be needed to volunteer in that specific community.
Now, we focused a lot about on the food, but there's a whole other aspect to the program as well beyond the food. Tell us about that.
Actually, one of the major reasons that we continue to do what we do is the social aspect, because so many of the seniors are alone or have retired and haven't found a way to fill that time, so they become socially involved, which helps their health in the overall long run.
Absolutely. So if people wanted to not only come and participate in the social aspect, what types of classes do you offer that would maybe pique their interest?
Well, we offer occasional health and wellness classes put on by Mercy Medical, as well as we have a computer class where seniors can come and learn how to do the internet. They can do a spreadsheet, learn pretty much whatever they wanted.
I bet that's a great class. I've heard a lot of people when they get into retirement, if they're not coming out of a job that they use a lot of computers, they can be intimidated a little bit by the internet and about computers. So I bet that relieves a lot of stress in that class.
Surprisingly, they have a lot of fun, but we've also noted that a lot of seniors are wanting to get back into the workforce, whether that be part-time or full-time, just to fill their time.
Yeah.
So some of them are wanting to learn how to put together a resume. And so we've been able to help them do that as well.
And then you've also got some exercise classes, if I'm not mistaken.
We do. We have strength and balance classes that go on once a week at our center. And we also have the WeFit. We do WeFit classes there as well.
Explain WeFit. Sorry, Debbie, to interrupt you.
WeFit is the computer program where you can do bowling, and so they have competitive classes with that, as well as a chair volleyball for those who are maybe in a wheelchair or unable to get around as well. We have this great chair volleyball class that goes on, and seniors sit in there, and it's done with a beach ball, so they're not, doing spikes or anything, but it's a lot of fun.
So I bet you're getting a lot of positive feedback about just the energy and so not only the nutritional value of the food, but you get people involved in these exercise programs, and that just improves quality of life. I'm sure you've got some stories about that.
Oh, gosh.
Give me the Reader's Digest version.
The Reader's Digest version, yeah. Well, over 30 years, you've heard a lot of stories, but one of the main stories was we had a gentleman call and ask how he could give away some of his items and who he should give them to, and we asked him why he wanted to do that. And basically, he was ready to give up on life. So we got him involved. He came down, started teaching a class for us, and he no longer felt the need to give things away because he had a purpose for living.
That is excellent. Debbie, thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate you and all that you do with Shasta Senior Nutrition Program. Folks, if you want to get involved, highly recommend you reach out to Debbie over at the program. Debbie, can you give us the website one more time, please?
It's ssnpweb.org, and the phone number is 226-3060.
if you want to volunteer or if you want to participate in any of these programs, they're there for you. And like Debbie said, there's some great stories. And if you feel like you just want to be a little energized and get out there and have more retirement lifestyle, it's where it's all about. Thank you, Debbie, again. We appreciate having you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our show this week. If you want more information about any of our guests or the topics we talked about, you can visit Retirement Lifestyles page at KIXE.org. We'll see you next week on Retirement Lifestyles, where it's all about having the health, wealth, and freedom you need to live your dream retirement.